Hello Avon students, we're so glad to spend this time with you today. The situation that we're experiencing right now due to COVID-19 and extended e-learning is something new for all of us. There are so many emotions that go along with this, and we want you to know that there is no right way to feel right now. Each of us may be experiencing a multitude of feelings, and that's okay. While we're all going through the same thing, our personal experiences are different and unique. Today, we want to focus on something called grief. You may have heard this word before, or you may be very familiar with it. Grief is something that we feel when we lose someone or something close to us. Some of us may be feeling like we've lost something, missing prom, not being able to see friends, not being able to experience field day, the list goes on. We've lost our normal day and routine, as well as our preset expectations that we had for this school year. The last part of our school year will look a lot different than what we had originally envisioned. Due to all the changes that happened so quickly and with little warning, you may be experiencing some feelings associated with grief. All of the thoughts and feelings you're having right now are okay, and let me assure you, the grown-ups in your life are experiencing them as well. Our hope is that if you can identify your feelings, you may be better able to understand them, which may help you get through things a little easier. Let's get started. There are 5 parts of grief that most people experience, and don't worry, we're going to help break them down for you. Those parts are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Again, please remember that there's no one right way to feel. The thing about grief is that each person can go through these different parts in a different order, in a different way, and at different times. Let's find out more.
Denial is typically the first part of grief that we experience. It's important to know that denial shows up as a way to protect us. When something feels too big, too painful, or too scary to accept, our brain steps in and says, "This can't be true." We may notice that we act like nothing has changed, or notice that when we hear something we don't like, we refuse to believe it. In this part, you may find yourself pretending that things are not any different from how they used to be, or that they will quickly return to the way that they were. While we can understand where denial comes from and why it shows up, it's necessary to acknowledge the reality of our situation so we can begin to cope with it.
Have you been feeling angry at all? Have you thought, this e-learning work is stupid, I can't do it? The feeling of anger could happen when reality sets in and you realize that everything you're used to, it's changed, and that makes you feel angry. This is a normal reaction. It is hard to be mad at the virus directly, so your anger may be channeled in a different way. You may become easily angered at family members, lose your temper more quickly, or get mad at the objects in your room. Being angry is a normal part of the grief process, and the adults in your home can help you find safe ways to cope with this anger. When you notice your frustration building, try to channel that frustration in a more productive way. Find time to exercise. Get outside and enjoy the natural sunlight. Take a walk. Try to notice things in your environment that bring you joy. Draw or complete an art project. You don't have to be an artist. Doodling simple shapes and lines with no intended result can help your mind and body relax in heightened times of frustration. Listen to music. What is your favorite song? Do you have a dance that you've been wanting to learn? What are some other healthy outlets that you can think of to manage your anger during this time?
Bargaining is another part of grief that we will talk about. This is when you try to make a deal for things to go back to normal. This could be saying, if I stay at home all week, I can hang out with my friends this weekend. Or, I promise to do all my homework and pay attention in class if we can go back to school. The hard part about bargaining is it might bring some other feelings of blame or guilt. That is your brain trying to make sense of what doesn't make sense. If you notice that, it is okay. It is important to remember that this isn't your fault. The current situation is a result of a global pandemic that none of us have any control over. To combat these feelings of guilt, it might be helpful to speak kindly to yourself, encouraging yourself to focus on what is going right and how you can make things better, given the current position, knowing that you can't change the overall situation.
The next part of grief we will talk about is depression. Depression is when we are feeling intense feelings of sadness. This might happen after you have thought to yourself that the situation could not be happening. Maybe you've gotten angry and tried to strike deals, which is the bargaining we have talked about previously. Depression could bring feelings of sadness, loneliness, losing interest in your favorite things, or lack of motivation to do your schoolwork or things you were once interested in. This could also look like being easily irritated or annoyed with people in your home, or feeling like you want to be alone more. Feelings of boredom could also be signs of sadness that you are experiencing because of the situation we are in. You may be sad for some of the same reasons you are angry. You can't see your friends in person, you're struggling with your schoolwork, and you're finishing the school year at home. This sadness is also normal, and you can get support from the adults at home to help you get through it. Please tell the people you live with that you are sad and need some encouragement. You could say, "I'm having a really hard time right now and I'm really sad. Could you give me a hug? Could we play a game together? Could we talk about things we might do together when this is all over?" Together with your family, you can get through this.
The last part of grief we want to talk about is acceptance. Acceptance is exactly how it sounds. It's when we recognize that we cannot change the situation that we are in and instead decide to allow it to happen. This is not the same as liking the situation. It just means we no longer fight it. When we accept things as they are, we can then use our mental energy to focus on things that we can change and influence. Things like spending quality time with our family, connecting with friends through video chats, and concentrating on our e-learning so that the rest of our time we can relax or have fun. Luckily, none of us have to do this alone. You have the support of your family, teachers, classmates, and school staff like us to go through it with you.
Almost all of us may be feeling like we lost something when our normal school days and schedule changed. As a result, we may be experiencing feelings of grief. Each one of us may be feeling these different parts at different times and for different amounts of time. All of your feelings right now are okay. There is no one right way to feel. The first thing we'd like you to try to do is recognize your feelings and practice naming them. Once you know how you're feeling, you can check in with your adult at home and help come up with a plan. You can also reach out to your teacher, your school counselor, and keep checking out our weekly videos. We'll be sharing tips with you because guess what? You are not alone in your feelings. I am right there with you. We are all experiencing these feelings right along with you. So until next week, try to think about finding opportunities to practice naming your feelings. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, and take care. Bye.